test this top.
Something pretty big just happened in the world of food, especially down in Australia. For the very first time, cultured meat is officially being served in restaurants. So, what exactly is it? How in the world is it made? And, what does this all mean for the future of how we eat? Let's get into it.
So, check out this question. It comes from Foraged by Vow, the company making all this happen. And this, right here, really gets to the heart of what they're doing. This isn't just about a new product, it's about a totally new experience. So let's find out what that first taste is really like.
All right, so first things first, let's talk about the dish itself, the part that actually matters. What are these high-end chefs in Sydney and Melbourne putting on the plate for their very first, very curious customers?
Imagine you're sitting down at one of these restaurants. What you see looks, well, pretty elegant and kind of familiar. There's a whipped pâté, a piece of seared foie gras, and this really clever tallow candle that actually melts down into a dip for your bread. It looks intriguing for sure, but also pretty approachable.
Okay, so the big question, what's it like to actually eat it? Well, according to journalists who've tried it, the pâté is velvety, savory, and very rich. Apparently, it's hard to tell it apart from a classic chicken liver version. But the foie gras, that's where things get really interesting. It's got that nice meaty crust, but the inside is described as, get this, almost bouncy like Spam. And it doesn't have that funky, organy taste of real foie gras. And that's totally on purpose. This is the moment you realize, whoa, this isn't an imitation. This is something else entirely.
A texture like Spam that obviously makes you wonder, how on earth do they make this stuff? So let's pull back the curtain and see how they turn a single cell into a gourmet meal.
Okay, so here's how it works in a nutshell. First, they take just one cell from a Japanese quail. That cell then goes into a bioreactor, which you can picture as kind of like a big shiny tank at a brewery. And it's fed this special nutrient-packed broth that helps it grow and multiply. Once you have enough cells, they're harvested with a centrifuge, which spins everything around really fast to separate the cells from the liquid. And then that harvest gets passed to the chefs, who work their magic with normal kitchen ingredients, butter, garlic, little cognac, to make the final dish.
But here's the part I find fascinating. This quote is from Vow's own CEO. Before it gets turned into that fancy pâté, the raw product is, and I quote, a homogeneous, pale pink goo that is not much to look at. It just shows you the incredible leap from raw science to actual culinary art. It really takes some serious skill to transform that goo into the beautiful dishes we just saw.
Which brings up a really good point. Why go through all that work to make something that's kinda like foie gras but not? Well, that question leads us straight to the big idea behind Vow's whole strategy.
And their answer is, well, pretty straightforward. This is what they say loud and clear. They are not trying to make a perfect copy of the chicken or beef we already eat. Nope, they're trying to create a whole new food category from scratch.
See, Vow's CEO, George Papu, he looked at the early plant-based burgers and saw a problem. The way he puts it, asking someone to eat a worse burger at a higher price so the planet benefits, yeah, that's a hard sell for most people. So Vow's strategy isn't to imitate, it's to innovate, to create something where the difference is the exciting part. It's why they didn't start with a ground meat substitute. They went for a high-end, luxury product that stands on its own.
Okay, so you can invent a new food, but that's only half the battle. You still have to get it approved to be sold, and that is a huge, huge hurdle. So let's look at how Vow got the official green light, because with any new food tech like this, the first thing on everyone's mind is it safe? How do we know we can trust it?
So, the folks at Food Standards Australia New Zealand, FSANZ for short, they spent 2 whole years digging into this. They set up a whole new rule book just for this cultured quail. It covers everything. The labeling has to be super clear, there are strict safety rules for how it's made, and it has to be completely free of nasty bugs like salmonella. And after all that, they gave it the green light. Totally safe to eat.
And look, getting these rules in place is a huge deal, and not just for this one product. This is about public safety, first and foremost. But it also gives other companies a clear roadmap if they want to innovate too. It puts Australia on the same page as places like Singapore and the US, and for you and me, it means clear labels so we know exactly what we're choosing to eat.
So now that they've got the official thumbs up, Vow is wasting no time. Let's take a look at what's on the menu right now and what's coming up next. So here's what's actually on the menu right now under their Forged brand. You've got the whipped pâté, the quail foie gras, and that incredible candlelit quail. And get this, they're not even done. A smoked quail spread is already on the coming soon list. These are now appearing in top restaurants all over Melbourne and Sydney.
And don't think for a second this is just some tiny experimental kitchen. 538 kilograms. That's how much they produced in a single harvest. That's a world record for cultured meat, and it proves they can make this stuff at a serious scale. They're already talking about scaling up to over 10,000 kilograms a month.
So, what do the chefs think? Well, this quote from a top chef, Mike McInerney, pretty much says it all. He gets it. He says it's not about replacing the meat we love. For chefs, it's about getting a brand new ingredient to play with, a whole new tool for being creative. And that's not a threat. That's a massive opportunity.
And all of this brings us back to the big final question. We're literally watching a new food category being born. But is this the start of a real revolution in food, something that could one day be on everyone's plate? Or is it just a super cool, high-tech food that's only ever going to be for a handful of people in fancy restaurants? You know, only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, a new chapter has definitely begun.